That was so good.
There's that.
That's the best one.
Hello, folks. Man, it's going to be hard to follow that intro, but I will try to get the ball rolling here. Welcome to another episode of the show that has zero problem yelling that the Redcoats are coming. And boy, do I look the part for that right now. Welcome to the show, Dad's Turn to Talk. My name is Derek. I'll be your moderator for this evening. Folks, we are recording this on Wednesday, July 2nd, so we need to wish everybody out there a very happy and fun 4th of July holiday weekend coming up. I don't know about everybody here, but I'll be on the grill. Gee, I'm sure we'll be seeing you at some point. We'll get a burger on there for you. So, with having that said, hopefully everybody is going to have a likable 4th of July and gets to have that likable barbecue as well. But speaking of things that you should like, please like this show. We keep asking you to like it, so we're not going to stop now. Go ahead and click that button there, the thumbs up. And while we're at it, if you really, really, really want to make this world happy and a good place, go ahead and click that subscribe button after I learn to talk, right next to the thumbs up there. And we do timestamp every episode. If you'd like to click on a topic to specifically hear us discuss it, you can do that. But if you're an American, a real patriot, then you'll listen to the whole show and give us that level of credit, as we are, tax-paying citizens just like yourself. All right, now that that is out of the way, I think we can go ahead and get started with introductions. Ladies first, folks. She's here because if you haven't figured out why we invite this girl on this show by now, then you really don't have any clue as to what this show is about. And I'm not going to help you with that tonight. You're going to have to go back and look in the archives for that help. The one and only G Gazelle, welcome to the show again.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Happy to have you here.
I need to get like a clap track or something like that.
Like an applause sign.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be good.
I would like the you know what I would like is that wah 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 wah. I've always wanted one of those.
We'll get to work on that. All right. Okay, now onto the regular cast of characters here. Folks, when I talk about grilling, there's an occasional need to make sure that you have small fries with that. And speaking of small fries, the one and only Josh, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. I love how you have a nice introduction for Gazelle, and for me, straight out, it's an insult.
Well, yeah.
It's with love, okay?
It's with a lot of love.
We do it because we love you.
How are you, Derico?
I'm doing good, sir. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Just getting ready for the 4th, going to a couple of parties, possibly. So, busy weekend.
May the 4th be with you. All right. And let's move on to our other regular co-host here. I'm wearing the red, but knowing how much of this Mountain Dew Blue he's been drinking, he may turn that shade. So then we'll get all the colors of the flag in here. The one and only Bob, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, sir?
You know what? I'm doing a lot better. A few days ago, I got diagnosed with strep throat. I was like, good Lord, what the heck? And apparently it's been going around over here. So yeah, feeling a lot better now, though. And looking forward to the 4th of July because I'll actually be off from work. So that's going to be nice.
Excellent work.
When you're working 7 days a week, you finally do get a little burnt out, and so having a day off is nice. So looking forward to it.
Well played, sir. All right. Well, having said that, I think there's no better way to celebrate the birth of America than with the game that America gave to the world. So, Bob, if you would kick us off with our first topic, please.
Money makes the world go round. I'm the talk around town. Remy gave me the sound. I need a Skrilla on the Rilla.
I'm never going to get over that song. I love that song.
I put that in there for you, Derek.
All right, so we're going to talk about a lot of stuff NBA here because there's a lot of news. Obviously, after the playoffs are now completed, congratulations, OKC, once again. There has been nothing but all sorts of chatter and moves being made and all sorts of stuff that usually happens after the playoffs are done. That's the way the rhythm has been. Why don't we go ahead and start with the news about the Laker buyout? In order to kick this topic off, geez, she looks like she's upset.
No, I said it was just such a weird move. And also, where's the Laker guy?
Which Laker?
Jeremy?
Oh, Jeremy.
Oh, he can join us tonight.
Call me when LeBron has 6 championships.
That's your only argument?
It's the only argument I need, Sean.
I love that one. Such a good movie.
That's great. Jeremy is unable to join us this evening.
Yeah.
He had unfortunately, he had a pet that is no longer with us.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, shout out, Jeremy. But hopefully you won't get mad at us for what we're about to do here, which you probably will.
I hope he does.
Yeah. The Lakers have been bought, folks. All right. I made a statement to Jeremy, ironically enough, that I'm talking about this. I think it was about a year ago where I said there's really only two ways that if you want the Lakers to improve, one of two things will have to happen here. And I said one of them was the idea of getting bought out and management changes, to which I said that's not happening anytime soon. Well, soon's a relative term, isn't it? Because about a year later, here we are. So it was big news. It's been the talk of the town pretty much all week. Gazelle, we've already heard your initial thoughts, but since you are our guest and you have a lot of Laker fandom in your family, why don't we give you the floor first? Because you have feelings, I'm sure.
I mean, it's just such a weird move. Like, I think, I mean, I guess maybe she's getting older. I guess, like, it just, I had this conversation with somebody about how the Buss family, like, all they do is own the Lakers. Like, what else do they make money from? Right? Like, that's been their business. And so
Selling the Lakers.
Yeah.
I guess that's their bit. I mean, it's just such a strange. I'm surprised that they wouldn't even keep like a minority stake just to like be affiliated like with the organization. But I guess everything has a price. Every team has a price. I mean, I did not see that coming. Like it, and in the year that you acquire Luka, like, you know,
yeah,
I don't know if this has something to do with. There's always been a lot of talk about ownership versus management, and the fact that there's people involved like Magic Johnson or Rob Pelinka and all these other like players, and there's always like a tension between them and the Jeannie Buss, and before that Jerry Buss. Like I think that's always been a tension that somehow helps drive them forward, and I just wonder how that dynamic will change for the franchise with, you know what I mean? Like when you take that out, like when you take such a, like, I think similar to when isn't the guy who owned the Celtics similarly, Red Auerbach or whatever his name was? I feel like they had a similar like loss of identity, and I don't know. I think this is a really interesting time and a very interesting move. Did not see that one coming. Even less so than the Luka one. That it's like the Lakers have just been dropping bombs in 2025.
Yep.
It's like nuclear bombs on the NBA like every 3 months.
It's a good question though. Bob, Josh, did either of you guys see this coming either? It sounds like this was just like a what?
No. Living in LA, I don't think anybody saw it coming. I talked to Jeremy about it. A lot of people are kind of happy because they're kind of tired of the front office antics that have been going on for a number of years.
Yeah.
And they're definitely looking for a change. Now, I know, G, you said about, but they don't have a minority share of it. I thought they have still a little share of it, but maybe I'm wrong.
I could be wrong.
You know?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I wish I could sit there and pretend like I know a lot of the details. Like as far as this goes, the last major, company or business or whatnot that was sold like of this magnitude was when George Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney. That was the last time we saw something of this magnitude, and we saw how that turned out. Now, this, on the other hand, I think actually is going to have some positives, because if you look at the way the Lakers have been run the last few years, I think most Laker fans would agree that something needed to change. Like, I still think that their championship that they got 2019, 2020 season during the COVID year, I think that was a fluke. I really do.
The bubble championship. Yeah, that shit was a fluke.
I think that was a fluke. I don't think that if they had
even
played
Caruso admitted that it was a fluke after he won the one for OKC. He was like, "This one's real."
I just don't think that would have actually happened had they played the full season out. So looking at the Lakers, the way that they've been in the LeBron era and the way they've kind of run the team and kind of built the team, this is not a team that's built to win championships. And it is kind of strange that it would happen after they got Luka, but personally, I think it could be a good thing, especially if they do re-sign him and they build around Luka as their future. Now, if the new ownership decides to build off of LeBron, then I think they got a problem still, because I understand LeBron is on that Mount Rushmore, but he's
40.
Yeah, he's not going to get there. I mean, I know he wants to win another championship, but I just don't see him getting it done.
Call me when LeBron has 6 championships.
That's your only argument?
It's the only argument I need, Sean.
I love that clip, but I just don't think
you love it because it's right.
Yes, I just don't think it's going to happen. So you got to build off of Luka as the future here, and I think Jeremy, if he was here, would agree with that. Yeah, that's the direction that you got to go. And I'm interested to see what types of moves the Lakers will make with the new ownership, and see what direction the team will go as a whole. I'm excited to see what they do as a franchise. And I do think that at the end of the day, this is a positive move for them. It's weird that it happened, but I do think it's a positive move.
To think that the Buss family is not part of the Lakers is weird.
I know. Actually, I just Googled it, and it says that she will stay on as a governor, which I guess is like probably part of the board.
That's what
but definitely is giving up her 66% percentage. And I also forgot that it was the owner of the Dodgers who bought it, which is like, that was so shocking to me that she even sold that I didn't even remember who bought, which was also crazy.
I mean, if it's that owner, then they're sold it to somebody who wants to win championships. Because in the LA market, that's what you want. You're not there just to get to the playoffs. You're there every single year to compete for a championship.
Yeah.
Not obviously it's not going to happen every single year, but that's your mentality when you put the Lakers team on the court every single year, is that you're competing for a championship. And lately, they've made the playoffs. A couple years ago, they made, or not this past year, but the year before it was that they made it was 2 years ago that they made the Western Conference Finals. But even then, there was no way they were going to get past Denver that year.
That's when they lost to Denver, right, Bob?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was it.
Yep.
All right. As shocking as this is, it was probably very necessary for them. If they wanted to see any type of real change, this is probably how it needed to begin. And the problem is I don't know what that change looks like at this point. I don't think anybody does at this juncture except The Office. That's it. So other than probably sinking some more money into training and maybe getting some younger players on the squad, that may be the first couple of steps there.
And are not named Bronny.
That are not named that. Which, that's a very interesting point, too. Where does LeBron stand now out of all this? I don't think he's the golden boy anymore.
What he opted in, which basically means
Yes,
he plays. Yeah, he plays this year, and I think he has a no trade clause.
Yeah.
So
okay,
basically, what he's doing is he's looking to see what type of team they build this year, and my guess is then he figures out next year, okay, if he wants to sign another couple of years there, or if he wants to go somewhere else for another shot at a championship. But
that's a bad idea too.
Yeah.
Where's he going to go now to do it? OKC.
Yeah. I said on this show last year when we covered the NBA that I didn't think LeBron is retiring as a Laker. I think he goes.
That I don't know. I don't know about that. The only place that I could see him ever going, and I don't see that happening, is the Warriors, because he's big enough, and we could use a big man, and two, like, he would want to finish out and like get mad rings with Steph like he did in the Olympics because they were feeling it. But if that hasn't happened this year, like right now, I think LeBron is going to want to have his like jersey retired by the Lakers and shit. Like, it's not like Cleveland is like permanently mad at him. So
let's go back to Cleveland to play with that roster.
Yeah, unless he wants to go back to Cleveland and play with that roster, which maybe like he'll close his career in Cleveland. He did get a ring there. I mean, I don't know. I think that the whole like burning jerseys and all that letter and all that stuff that he did when he went to Miami was like such overkill. And then he came back, and so and then he came back and won a ring. It was just like a weak like,
horrible
legacy. Yeah, it was just lame. And
he's
so
still not loyal. He's the minute
he don't care. He don't care. He's going to go to the highest bidder.
Exactly. He does not care. He's not going to retire as a Laker. I think he goes to the Eastern Conference.
He will retire as a Laker for a boatload of money.
Yeah, he'll retire at the Lakers.
That he will do.
Yeah.
It's going to be, okay, which is easier to get right now? A boatload of money for your retirement year or getting to a roster for one more ring?
I think a lot's going to depend on how he plays this year. If he plays at an elite level still, then I think he's got something to stand on to like as a bargaining chip to try to sign somewhere, because I do think, yes, he's LeBron James, but I wouldn't doubt if teams are like, I don't know if we sign him for a boatload of cash, because we have to give up something to get him. And even if he signs as a free agent, you're going to lose out on that salary cap somewhere else. So I think wherever he goes, it has to be a team that's going to win a championship that year or is set to win a championship that year. Because if not, then there's no point for him to go somewhere where it's going to take 2 or 3 years, because I only think he's got 1 or maybe 2 seasons left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's not too many of those teams out there that can claim that they're ready for championship gold right now, with the exception of OKC. That's it. That's the only one. Maybe Indiana, but even that's rolling dice.
They did just lose Turner, Indiana. So
what was that? I'm sorry about.
Indiana just lost Miles Turner.
Yeah. He went. I think we need to move on from the Lakers and start talking about the rest of the NBA, because that's what I was about to say. Like, Milwaukee made the weirdest move of all time and got Miles Turner. That's what my algorithm was all about when it didn't tell me about Kevon Looney, which we will talk about also. But like the fact that the Bucks made this like bonehead, ridiculous $102 million offer for Miles Turner it was like, what? Like I that, and then they waived Damian Lillard. Like, what?
Yes.
What? Like, I get that he had a torn Achilles, but like, I mean, somebody needs to say something.
No, I agree with that. That makes no sense to me.
I think they're trying to make Giannis happy. They're trying to keep Giannis, and I think that's why they did the deal. It's a horrible trade. I don't know why you did that, but that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, well, okay, but that's a problem because now the Bucks are doing the same thing the Lakers are doing with LeBron. Oh, whatever makes Giannis happy.
I know, but what else? How do you explain it, Derek? It's such a bad move for them, but yet they did it. It's the only explanation.
Well, but I'm saying if that's the only explanation, it's real dumb. This is not smart leadership if that's what they're doing here.
No.
Let's give him some baklava and we'll do whatever trades he wants. That'll solve everything. No.
Yeah. Bob, what do you think about it? Do you agree that they're doing it because
I just don't know how bringing Miles Turner over makes Giannis happy. I mean, wouldn't he rather have a guard who could, really take over the front court or the back court, so that way, Giannis can do his thing down low and he can get those assists?
Yeah,
I mean, that would make more sense to me. I just don't see how Turner fits that.
Turner doesn't fit there.
No,
Also, how did the Pacers let that happen? Like, you literally just got that roster into the NBA Finals to a Game 7, and the only reason that arguably, I'm not saying the only reason that they lost, but it was, it was definitely a coin flip if Halliburton hadn't got injured, in the way that he did. Like, that was, it was not like, it was like 51-49 in Oklahoma's favor or something before that happened. And so it's not like it was a done deal. They were going to take it. Right. So how do you let that kind of roster get away from you? Like, as the Pacers,
I was thinking of that exact same thing today. I was like, why wouldn't they want to run it back? But the thing that came to my mind was, well, maybe the reason they did it is because they don't think they can run it back because of how late in the year that the Achilles happened on Halliburton. Maybe they're thinking, okay, he's going to be out all next year, so we're not going to field the same roster anyway. So, but I mean, for me, I would have kept him, and I would have still just tried to get a competent point guard to hold down the fort until Halliburton can get back, because that was a roster that could still get you to the playoffs.
They would have been
without Halliburton.
They would have been a 7 seed. They would have gotten in if they had that.
And if you get yourself a competent point guard, you could actually get a higher seed. You don't have to get one the same caliber as Halliburton, but if you get one that's pretty good, then you'd have been fine.
Yeah, the whole thing was bizarre. Like, I don't. And then when I heard, in my world, it was a fantasy. Derek knows this. I've always said that outside of the Warriors players, the two players I love and always wanted their jersey, wanted them to be on my team, was Jimmy Butler, which I got, and Damian Lillard. And then I was reading this whole thing about how if Lillard is waived, there's a possibility they'd have him come on as a backup for Steph, and that they would finally bring him back to Oakland, and he's a hometown boy, and just the whole story of that. And I was like, that is the one good thing that could come out of this bonehead move is that Damian Lillard, Jimmy Butler, and Steph play on the same team. It would be my dream team. But I think that's a long shot, but I can't believe that the whole thing is just, there's been some baffling moves this week on that I'm not really seeing the long game. I don't think anybody, even Shamps from the ESPN doesn't see the long game.
Well, no, and that's the other thing too. That's a good point. These are impulse plays right now.
Yeah,
you're not thinking strategically when you make moves like this.
Yeah, it's very strange to me how they're not even thinking through the. I don't know what they're. I mean, I don't know if they're thinking immediate. We have to try to. I don't know.
Except for the Mike Brown move on the Knicks, I got
that one. I said that one was obvious. He was unemployed. They kept trying to poach all these other coaches. They made a grand mistake in letting go of their coach.
So dumb.
It was real stupid to do that.
It's as bad as in the NFL when the Chargers made it to the finals, to the or no, who they no, not that. They played the Patriots and they were 14-2 and they fired Marty Schottenheimer because they lost that game.
That's the Chargers. You should be used to.
The Chargers are like the bad news bears. Like I'm from San Diego. Like my whole family's from San Diego. How many times have it all like the team that almost could? They're the bad. Like I can't tell you how many like playoff sweatshirts I had as a kid that were all in the playoffs. It was like, yeah, we made the playoffs. That's as far as we're gonna get. Let's make a T-shirt. It was ridiculous. So I'm not even gonna go that. But
I picked the Knicks to win it all this year.
I had the Knicks to win. We all did. That was what I was gonna say. I haven't been on this since we made those bets. Like none of us. I mean, I think somebody said. Did anybody say Oklahoma? I feel like I
said Oklahoma City. I picked them to win in 7 games.
No.
Liar! Minnesota. You were the one who was all in on what's his name? Anthony Edwards.
I had picked the Knicks to play the Timberwolves, and I said that Anthony Edwards was really going to shine in the finals, but that the Knicks would still pull it off. That's what I said. I just thought this was the Knicks year, and they had the roster to do it. I really think that they were the better team than Indiana, but Indiana just came alive at the right time. And I think that their roster was built to it's one of those rosters that they compete well against almost every team because they have a little bit of everything there that they can match up well with teams. They create nightmares matchup wise.
Indiana was the 2015 Warriors. Like where they kind of came out of nowhere and were all like kind of no names to some extent, and everybody had like discounted and Halliburton the way they discounted Curry, like and they just kind of came out of nowhere. And I have to say, my favorite part of this season was which random stat did the Indiana Pacers break today? Like every day it was like there has never been this like final or whatever playoff game where you like came back from less than more than 20 in less than a minute. Like there were so many crazy stats that they were breaking like records that, like how many teams have come back. It was like 1 out of 1,154 this has happened, and it was the Pacers. Like every like record that they broke was super bizarre and weird. Like how like all those shots were the last second, and they came back from behind in the last like 2 minutes. Like you really didn't want to miss the last 2 minutes of any of their games because they could come back from like 20 behind and win. It was so weird.
Yeah.
And then they gave up the guy that did that. Like I don't understand.
It's so the thing, the Pacers were very reminiscent of 2015 Warriors. You're right on that, G. Here's the other thing that was interesting. They played playoff basketball very, very well up against almost everybody until they faced OKC. And even then, they had good games against OKC. So they were just a solid, well-rounded team. They capitalized on everything New York did wrong. Everything New York did wrong. And it wasn't all that much, but it was visible enough that Indiana found a way to pick up on it.
Yeah.
I don't know where the Pacers now go from here. I think you're right, Bob. They're going to have to get some type of a point guard just to hold stuff down. And I think if you do that, and if you're really trying to play a long game, obviously you do wait for Halliburton to come back. But I think you just should forget about next season. I mean, play well, but you don't have to expect a championship by any means. If you get in the playoffs, that's great. But then move forward, get your star back. Let's see where we go from there. Milwaukee, I don't know what to tell you. I have no idea about Milwaukee. Good luck.
I think Giannis should come play. I think everybody should come play with Steph. Like Giannis should come play with Steph.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't want LeBron on our team, Jay. Gee, I don't want that.
Oh, I don't want that either. I don't want a lot of things, but that doesn't mean I won't take them.
Call me when LeBron has 6 championships.
Is that your only argument?
It's the only argument I need, Sean.
That's good.
That's why we don't need him.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, you know what? This
Perfect.
is actually a good segue into another topic. Speaking about what teams are going to look like coming up here. If I may, KD is now on the Rockets.
I was just about to say it.
That was it. I was just looking at the.
All right.
They
So
gave way too much away.
we're going to let Bob go first here. Josh, you're going to go next. And then Derek and G will tell you exactly how this is going to go down, having
Yeah.
experience with this guy on a team.
Real quick, just to clarify, Derek.
Yeah.
Who did they give away, or what did they give away to get KD? It was Dylan Brooks. Was it Jalen Green?
No.
No. Hold
Who
on.
was
Let
it?
me actually take a look at that.
Yeah, I just want to clarify who it was, and they gave away a number of picks too.
That yes, they did do that too.
That was my issue. Is the number of picks they gave
Yeah,
away.
just give me those numbers real quick because I just don't remember them off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
hold on. Let
And
me
who
see.
it was.
Let me see what they got out of that. Okay, so they traded. Oh, Jalen Green and Dylan.
So it
Brooks.
was Jalen
Yes,
Green.
it
Okay,
was Jalen Green.
and Dylan Brooks, right?
Yep, and the 10th overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft,
Hmm.
and 5 second-round picks.
For a
Phoenix
how
Suns.
many?
Huh?
Say that again. Say that last thing.
Okay, so they traded the 10th overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft, and then 5 second-round picks to the Phoenix Suns, and that was all for KD. Jalen Green,
Right.
Dylan Brooks, first-round pick number 10, 5 second-round picks.
For a 36-year-old player. Wow.
Yeah, I don't really understand that, and this was why I wanted to clarify that it was Jalen Green, because Jalen Green, I'm just looking it up right now, is a 23-year-old guard, and I mean he's an up and coming talent.
Yeah,
He's part of the reason why the Rockets did so well last year, and to give him away, Dylan Brooks and the 10th overall pick for a 36-year-old player, again, I know it's KD. I know he's a very talented player. There was a time where I'd have an argument that he was the best player in the league.
There was
Not
an
just the league,
argument
that
at one point that he
best
was
player in the
the
world, I would have argued.
There was an argument at a certain point that was true.
Yeah. And so I think he's lost a little bit of a step, but I mean, he's still an extremely good elite player. But I just don't know if this was the right move. And this goes back to what you all were talking about earlier about playing the long game. I think this is a move thinking, okay, well, we're just KD away from winning a championship. And I don't think that that's the case. I think maybe, yeah, you needed a little bit more play, but I think your problem was on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think your problem was on the offensive side of the ball. But I mean, that's just my thought. I wouldn't have given all that away for KD.
that's an awful lot.
It was
That's a ton.
That's my issue is what they exactly they gave away to get him. If it had been, say, maybe Jalen Green and a second round pick, okay, or if it had been Dylan Brooks and the 10th overall pick, okay, maybe that I could understand. But I would have done everything to keep Jalen Green. That's just my thought.
Mm-hmm. All right, Josh, what about you?
I agree with Bob. I would have done whatever I could to keep Jalen Green. I would have given up fine. You want to give up the 10th overall pick in next year's draft for KD? Fine. But to get rid of Jalen Green and all these other guys and all these other draft picks, I mean, look, if KD were 30 years old right now, Derek, it's a no-brainer. I get it. He's 36. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you're trying to win right now. I don't know. It's like it doesn't make sense. I think they sold the farm for him, and I don't understand why.
Hey, real quick, Josh, just to kind of piggyback off of what you just said. You said if you're trying to win now, if you look at where KD's been, he hasn't won now, except for when he was in Golden State.
I know
he didn't win with All-Stars in Oklahoma City. He got there.
He didn't win in Phoenix.
He didn't win when he was in Phoenix with an all-star team.
No.
He didn't win when he was in Brooklyn.
Nope.
Again, with all-star talent there. And so I just don't see how we're going to see any different.
No, it doesn't make sense why they would do this. No, you follow everything. What do you I mean, right? This is weird, right? This is weird to like get rid of so many.
I think it was a weird. Okay, in response to the age thing,
Yeah.
What Houston needed was an experienced offensive player.
Okay.
They needed more offense.
Okay.
So that's why they had the one, the game. All the games with Houston were for the most part pretty low scoring, considering, because it was a very defensive game. And so, in my mind, what I was thinking the whole time was, if Houston had this, they would have beat us, right? And the thing that I said to Derek was, if they had an offensive powerhouse with playoff experience, because they were all just, babies,
we would have lost.
And, we would have lost. And it was the lack of experience and veterans on that team, and the offense that made them lose that series. So the fact that they went out and got exactly that made 100% sense to me. The fact that they gave up Green for it is the one that didn't make sense to me, because to me, the core of the Brooks, please, like, he's a joke, but the key part of that team that was like the core to have added an offensive veteran to included Green. There was it was like 2 or 3 of them that really should have stayed. Dylan Brooks was not one of them. I mean, I think they had a couple people that they could have gotten rid of.
Maybe they were just trying to offload Brooks, and they said, "Oh, here, we'll throw him in here."
Yeah, we'll throw in Green because we know nobody wants Brooks, so fine. But like, it just surprised me that they wouldn't have gotten rid of. I don't know. I think that maybe they thought that they could give up a little bit of shooting and a little bit of offense that's less developed and less reliable, because Jalen Green was not reliable in that series. He had a couple like great games, and then he had like off games where he did nothing. And so in that sense, I feel like maybe they thought, okay, we'll get some consistency. The funniest thing I saw about KD was that he has had every color jersey now, with starting from the rainbow, starting with red. Mm-hmm. So like orange,
yellow,
green,
blue.
Blue, black. He's had them all. Mm-hmm. So that's funny. He's ruined his legacy. He ruined his legacy when he did the super team in Brooklyn. That's where it started. Like when he first decided that he wanted to be the star of a super team, and got his homies together who were all idiots, and I forget the 3.
Hey, well, who do you have? He had Harden.
He had Harden. Harden, the biggest idiot in the NBA. Who hello, never get, where's the gift for that? The clip for that.
Didn't he have Kyrie also?
Yeah, it was like Tweedledum, Tweedledum, Tweedledummer. Like I couldn't believe that he rounded up those 2 guys as his super team. And there was Kyrie and his earring and the attitude, and then James Harden, who could never close a playoffs if his life depended on it, and yet he's still like inconsistent. Okay, like him, like he's gonna end up being one of those like people that everybody thought was gonna be like massive, and who ends up retiring without a ring. I mark my words. In your 500th episode, we will talk about when James Harden retires without a ring. Yeah. But I do think that KD going to Houston for Houston makes sense. And I think that this is an opportunity for KD to maybe redeem himself by being a little bit of a team player. Also, I just think the vibe in Houston, I don't know, somehow it seems like he does do better with this like with the coach, Udoka, and they had a pretty like rough, very physical team, and I think that he does better when he's pushed like that to step out of his comfort zone and get a little rough and tumble. He seems to need a little bit of fire under him, and I think maybe working with a team like that's like has that fire. I don't think that Phoenix really had it. Like it seemed like he never really gelled like with Booker. Like it always seemed like he was kind of trying too hard and it wasn't fitting, like trying to make a square peg fit into a round hole, and it just wasn't working. And I think that Brooklyn was where his mistakes like started, and he came like out of it with a very like low self-confidence, and just like everybody kept saying during the Olympics that KD looked like he was having fun playing basketball again, and then he went back to the Suns and it looked like Debbie Downer, right? So I'm hoping that at least as a player, he can salvage a little bit of his personal legacy if he gets like a little bit of this like young guy fire, plus Ime is kind of a jerk, and like that energy could be like, in an odd way, like maybe he needs a little tough love. And I sort of think that that's his opportunity. It made complete sense to me, and I'm not at all surprised that they chose to do it at his age. Like that wasn't, I think that the age was a positive in this. They wanted a veteran. They wanted playoff experience.
Okay. May I?
Of
Go
course.
for it.
Okay. It's not going to matter if he's in Houston. And I'll tell you why. Because this is going to end the same way it has ended with all the other teams that he has been on. It'll go well for a season, about a season and a half. It'll go well. Houston will do well. They're not going to win a championship because Oklahoma City is still there. And they're not going to beat them. Probably a couple other teams they won't be able to beat. But it'll go well at first. Then about 3/4 of the way through the second season, the real KD is going to show up. And then there's going to be issues galore. And then by season 3, done, on to the next team. Pick your color, KD. You got all the spectrum of the rainbow now. Your choice. It's not going to matter if he's on this team because the result is going to be the same. He's not going to get a ring, and he's just going to cause problems.
You bunch of losers!
Yes.
Thank you.
Fine.
Exactly
I'm waiting.
right.
I've been waiting.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where to use that tonight, but you said that one up perfectly there, Derek.
Thank you.
I thought you
You
were
gotta
going
have
to
Beetlejuice at some point.
I thought you were going to use it with the Lakers, Bob.
No.
This was perfect.
So that's the reason why I say that KD isn't going to mean jack on this team.
Yeah.
And now, here's the thing, to your point, Bob and Josh, if they have traded all this isn't the same Rockets anymore. Yeah, it's great. I mean, there's Jalen Green on there, but now who else are you surrounded by? A 10th draft pick in the first round? Okay, great, rookie. Like, how's that going to work out? You don't know. So my point being is that they will be good for the short term. It will end the same way it always does in the long term. By short term, I mean first season, long term, 3 to 5. No, 3. Who am I kidding? It'll be 3 years, and that'll be it.
I think the move benefited Phoenix a lot more than it did Houston.
Yeah.
5 draft picks in the second round?
Yeah.
Got that too.
Look, I could have seen. I mean, I know they wanted to keep what's his name. Obviously, the people that they kept. I'm looking at the roster, like Şengün, Van Vliet, and Adams, and then Amen Thompson. Like that was like to me the core that they had brought together, plus Jalen Green, Jalen Green.
Yeah.
But they, I think that Green and Şengün were arguably the biggest parts of that. And so I'm a little surprised that it wasn't one of the others who got. I mean, I could have seen Van Vliet. I could have seen Van Vliet going.
Yeah.
That's
very realistic. I'll tell you this, I'm glad it was Dylan Brooks that left. Because if Dylan Brooks stays on a team with Kevin Durant, that's going to end badly.
Yeah.
That will end badly.
I'm looking at their roster right now, and they still have Dylan Brooks on there. Did we miss something?
No, he's definitely gone. He's
He
He's
definitely is gone,
He's
right?
gone. He's
Yeah.
gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just haven't
Jalen
updated
Green
it
is
yet.
gone, right?
Jalen Green? No, Jalen Green. Yeah, he is gone too. That's right.
Why are they? This is so weird. I don't
Probably
know.
because the next season hasn't started yet. That's all. It
Maybe, but
probably
you
is.
still would think that they'd be gone.
Josh,
I don't
just
know.
relax. They'll get it updated. Calm down. Right?
So crazy. But let me ask you guys something. What happened to loyalty in the NBA? Like Bob and
It's
I used
gone.
to
That
watch,
doesn't exist anymore. It's
Bob and I
done.
used to watch basketball in high school all the time together, and people were loyal. That's gone.
Dude, this is 2025, dude. Loyalty went out the door like 98.
Yeah.
Josh, there's a very simple answer to this question.
Money makes the world go round. I'm the talk around town. Remy gave me the sound. I need a Skrilla on the Rilla.
Yep.
Yes.
There it is.
That's it. It's
Yep.
money. There's no other explanation here. It's
Mhm.
like, I mean, obviously there's a few things that play into it. Like guys get to a certain point in their careers where they start thinking about their legacy and they're like, okay, now I want to have a championship. Or if they've already got that championship there, now they're like, okay, now I want a max contract. You know, there's other things that come into it. But at the end of the day, loyalty's out the door because of the way free agency and stuff is now. You don't have the way teams are built or the way they used to be built. That doesn't happen anymore.
No.
It's completely different.
The business model of the NBA has completely changed.
Yeah.
It's that way for all sports now. It's not. It's not
very
just
true.
the
Very
NBA.
true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, look
Yeah,
at your Dolphins and some of the moves they've made.
Do you think Jordan would have gone if he was playing now? You think
Oh, he would have left.
or he would have
He would
been?
have left.
If he had played
100% he
in
would've
today's era,
Mhm.
I think he probably would have gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
No, he would have left.
he was a completely different era of basketball.
Now look, there is something to be said about the franchise players, right? Where
There's a couple.
that's what I'm saying. There are a couple out there, but it's only a couple.
There's only a couple.
Yeah,
Staff.
you can't see that player leaving said team. It's just
Yeah.
it's probably never going to happen.
I mean, really,
Which
who
is
do
why
we-
I think LeBron is not leaving.
No. Well,
Um,
who do we have Steph, who's been with Golden State
Yep.
forever. Who else do we have?
LeBron on LA,
Giannis.
Giannis on the Bucks.
And include LeBron.
LeBron
Yeah,
has
you
been there for
can.
like 8 or 7, 8
No.
He's been there
seasons.
for a long
No,
time.
No,
It's hard
you're
to
talking
believe at
about
this
a
point.
player who has played with one franchise their entire career.
Yes.
That is Draymond. That is Steph. That is Giannis.
Yes.
That is Jokic. There's
Oh,
there's
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's a couple like that have stayed put with their teams. Luca was one
I
until
would
this
not.
Yeah,
I
until
would
very
not
recently.
consider LeBron, even
LeBron
though they're
was
for 8
yeah.
years, I don't
No.
consider LeBron.
Well,
No.
okay, but but a lot of Lakers fans would. He's been there the longest, probably out of any team he's been on.
Actually, it is the longest, and it's
Yeah.
hard to believe that it is the longest. But yeah, he's been with them. This is going into what, his 8th season?
Yeah, but that would be his third, technically fourth team if
Yeah.
you consider it.
I
Right?
agree with
No,
you.
I'm just saying I understand why Lakers fans would say it because they're like, oh yeah, this has
Yeah.
been the longest. No,
in
it's
terms of what
it's
you're
because
saying,
it's
though,
LA.
Josh,
and he's making money.
Yeah.
in terms of what you're saying, though, Josh, like that's what the loyalty is now, and
Yeah.
it's very few and far between.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I don't.
He makes
That's
the
why
world
it was.
go round.
And up until last year, Clay, like it's very rare. That's why it was so odd. They were saying that that trio from the Warriors, like the fact that all three of them stayed for that long in their career with one from the draft to the. I mean,
Right.
That was unheard of. Like having
Yeah.
three. That's why I definitely the reason I know Michael Jordan would have never stayed with the Bulls if he was in this era is because he came back as a baseball player and then played for the Hornets after he did come back. Like he was a gambler. He was very easily motivated by money. He
Still
would have
is a gambler. That hasn't changed.
I know he would have left to the highest bidder if there wasn't restrictions at that time, which there were.
Well,
Yep.
you know, because there's some truth to that because a lot of people forget Jordan was real close to becoming a Knick,
Mhm.
and
That's true.
and he ended up staying with the Bulls because they gave him the contract that he wanted. His last 3 seasons with the Bulls, he was signing 1-year deals.
Yes.
It wasn't like he was signing, mass contracts. He was signing 1-year deals. Like he had his first run with the Bulls. He went and played baseball, came back, went with the Bulls again, but he was signing 1-year deals. And he retired again, but then of course, he becomes an owner of the Wizards and decides to go play with them for a while. And I think if Michael Jordan were in today's NBA, I think it would have been two things. I think he would have gone to the highest bidder that could get him a championship. I think it would have been that combination because Jordan doesn't like to lose. So I think he would have gone to whichever team gave him the most money but had a legitimate shot. It would have been that way.
Yeah, maybe.
Which would be.
And the only reason I say that is because if you watch him, he hated to lose.
Right.
So I mean, he had he was kind of like Kobe was the same way.
Right.
Yeah, but Kobe wasn't a gambler.
Yeah, true.
He was competitive. He was a competitor.
He was competitive, but I think that I don't know.
Well, I thought there was one more topic because of the time that I don't want to. We do have more show to do here, but there was one more topic we wanted to talk about, wasn't there?
I think
No,
the other was going to be the Mike Brown thing, but
we talked about it.
We already did talk about that. Look, that's going to be a good move for that. I think it's going to be a good move for the Knicks. It's the best. Yeah.
I
don't think it's their best move, but I think it's the best that they got left.
Yeah, exactly. It's the best move they could have made in the situation that they got themselves into.
Yeah, they put themselves in that position, so they're stuck.
So it is that now, and this is your best next case. That's it. So
Mike Brown.
You got a coach you want to put on there? Who you got?
I mean, he was the to me he was the obvious choice. Like I didn't, I sort of thought are they in the very beginning when they started like going around trying to poach coaches? I was like, why are they doing this? Like, why don't they just go pick up Mike Brown? He's available. I thought maybe they were playing hard to get. I don't know what I thought. Like, but he was a coach of the year. He clearly Sacramento doesn't know ownership, just doesn't know how to manage a team because they've lost every good player and every good coach they've had. Every time they get close, they just shoot themselves in the foot.
Okay, but that's the smallest of market teams. That's gonna
happen. But I'm saying like you couldn't fault Mike Brown for being released. It's not like it wasn't because he was like messing up as a coach. It seemed to me like that was a really raw deal. And the other one was who was the other one who got laid off? Like the Denver coach.
Oh gosh, that one I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And what was his name? Malone? Is that it?
Yeah.
He was the other one that they talked to, but he's gone into like broadcasting, even though he's terrible at it. And I guess they're gonna stick with that. But that one was the other one that was really surprising. I could have seen it being either one of those guys.
But Mike Brown's never won a title, right? I'm looking
not as a coach, but I mean, he did cover 2/3 of the season for Steve Kerr.
Yeah, I was about to say when he was on the Warriors, I think when they won a ring, but he didn't. He was the assistant.
He was with them the whole time. They won all 4 rings, but the year that Kerr had his back surgery and he was out for
became the head coach.
Season, he was the coach, and they went on to win that year. So, like it was. I mean, arguably, he should have gotten the credit for most of that. Yeah, I mean, sure, he ran a playbook that was probably Kerr's, but the dude was in surgery, so
he was a good coach. He did right by
the coach.
Yeah,
and he got the Kings to the playoffs and beat the Warriors in that the play-in tournament.
You didn't need to bring that up. You didn't need to bring that up at all.
I mean, it was painful, but I'm saying we lost to Mike Brown having our number. And he was a good coach that kind of turned that team around in like a year or two. And like, then they lost all the talent and blamed it on him. I mean, it was just sort of a strange move on Sacramento's part. But I also think that, I mean, I think it'll be a good enough fit. I just think that that was a really strange move on the Knicks' part to have let go. I feel like they wish they could have taken it back, and they couldn't.
Yeah.
No take backs.
Well, but didn't you say, G? I think we talked about this when we were hanging out at the pool with the family. You said that there was some player concern, shall we say, that they reported it up to the leadership and bypassed him.
I don't think that wasn't Brunson. My understanding was I think that generally they felt like his strategy of playing the starters so many minutes all the time through the playoffs and through the season, and just like ending up being really tired or weak or injured was not like the strategy that they wanted to take with like moving forward. Like, yes, it didn't work out last year. Yes, it had worked out this year. Yes, it was unfortunate the way that things worked out with the Pacers. I do think that he was out coached in at least one or two of those games when the Knicks gave up like 20 points at leads and lost.
Yeah.
Like, that was a definite coaching failure in not being able to be nimble and use your bench and like when the Pacers were, and he was out coached. And I think that dependence on that strategy just became so glaringly bad in that series that they felt like, well, this is why we keep losing. And so, like, if this guy is going to keep doing this, then we got to get rid of him.
And I agree.
Strategy.
It was not a smart move. I think it was an impulse move to fire.
It was an impulse move, but it was an impulse move because of seeing that repeated. Like, he just did not learn his lesson. Like, Thibodeau didn't learn his lesson. Like, he never ever wavered on that strategy, even when it wasn't working. And if
I said this at the pool, he was stubborn.
Yeah, if he had shown a little bit of flexibility to say, I'm willing to try a different move, like, then I think that they would have kept him. But the fact that he did that and stubbornly went into that series and kept doing it, even as they were losing and gave up game one, and the fact that they did it again 2 games later, like, that would have been his opportunity to keep his job. Was like, I messed up game one. I'm going to try something else that I have never tried. I'm going to stop being stubborn. Right. And he kept doing it. And it was like, oh, bro, you about to lose your job. Like, it was,
I mean, that
was.
Yeah, no. And sure enough, it happened.
I mean, it was surprising that it was an impulse move, definitely. And I think it was, but I feel like the ownership felt like they had given him all the chances to try something else when he was backed into a corner like that. And he just refused to waver from that playbook.
But you know what? An off season may have done a lot with that too. That's why I would have given him one more shot. Now, if he did that again and, kept showing that move, then I would have been like, dude.
The flip side to that. Here's the flip side to that argument is that if you look at his tenure in New York, they were getting consistently better.
They were getting consistently better.
So he could make an argument that, yes, my strategy was working. We're playing the long game. We're getting there.
And 2 years ago, they were injured, right? That was one thing that Bob consistently said is injuries is what really took them out.
And that's right. No, that's a good point. So when we were talking about this playoff discussion 2 years ago, we all said, if one of those pillars falls, that's it.
You keep playing your starters 45 minutes. So this year they got lucky and those injuries didn't happen. But then they ran into the Pacers, who were nimble with a bench. They've lost game one, running that same playbook, not being injured.
Yeah.
And he still wasn't willing to try a different. That's what I'm saying. When you say have given him another chance, he had a lot of chances.
But this year he made it to the Eastern Conference Final, Gazelle. Like,
he did.
We don't know what would have happened next year.
And that's what I mean. Like, if he made it, because he made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, something in his sauce is working well.
Yes.
But I wouldn't let him get away with it again. Okay, like, well, I'm going to keep you here, but here's your issue here, dude. and this needs to be addressed. You're the coach, I understand that, but you can't. There has to be some changes.
I don't think we'll make playoffs next year.
I mean, I don't know if they will either. I honestly don't.
No.
It depends on how well the org is with, regardless of Thibodeau, like the assistant coaches, and like what's the player vibe, and like will they be able to adjust to, like, you know, Mike Brown's coaching style and build the rapport and all those things. I mean, we arguably said the same thing about the Nuggets. I certainly thought that when their coach got fired, they were not making it far, and they made it so much further with that like interim coach, which then became their permanent coach, because they had a good rapport as a team, and whoever stepped in was like inheriting a good solid group of dudes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case with their org, then I think it's possible. The part that I don't know is that I think that this was partially the disagreement. You know, the GM is going out and drafting you young players and wanting to build talent, and you're leaving them on the bench and playing the starters 45 minutes. Like, arguably, like they feel like they're wasting these assets they've traded for and bought for and whatever. And like, if Brown starts to take that strategy more, like, I just wonder if it will pay off. If like part of the success was the vibe of those 5 starters, just like, I mean, 2 of them, the 2 of them were the Villanova guys. Mm-hmm. And so like, I don't know if you break that up and you start to give other guys more minutes and those starters get less minutes, will that be more successful because you're leaving talent on the bench and unused, and that was the key they were missing all along? Or is it that like it would have been better to leave good enough alone? You know what I mean? Like that's the question mark for the next.
Yeah, that's the gamble in that.
Yeah. If Stephen A says the same thing, I would like to know, and I would like to write to him so he would pay me for my thoughts.
He watches this show regularly, actually.
I think
he's really excited.
Yeah. A contributor.
He never misses an episode.
I feel like that might be true, Bob. I feel like he is here to hear what Josh has to say.
Of course.
Let's
right.
I'm getting in on the Josh.
Hey, join the club.
The club, yeah.
We've been waiting for you. Put your feet up.
I mean, that's as bad as it's ever gonna get, Josh. It's always gonna be.
No. That's what everybody says. Don't worry.
As I walk in for Derek's Sweating Gazelle, and you're like, "So you're Josh? I've heard so much about you."
Yeah, I think you were the most anticipated guest for me on Derek's side. Yeah. I was just like,
God.
Who is this guy? I'm so curious. Like, where? Point him out to me.
What she's not saying, Josh, is when she was looking for you, she was like, "Where is he?" I mean,
no, Bob.
And then you opened your mouth, and you were easy to find.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that tracks. When he pointed out to me, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that guy.
What did you tell me, Derek? Tell her, Derek.
You should know, you know good and goddamn well what I told her.
It was like, oh, loud New Yorker sort of accent screaming from the side of the room, and then like 2 seconds later it was like, oh my god, and it was like, oh yeah, that's the guy. Yeah.
All right, funny. Well, to close this out and to save Josh from any more pain, because he's got a long show still, why don't we close it out? I mean, any interesting thoughts about teams next season? Let's go around the room here. G, go ahead.
Loon, I'm gonna miss you forever, Looney.
All right, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, Looney for the win. I'm a terrible person to ask this question. I'm always gonna pick the Warriors, no matter how whatever their roster is.
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, I do think that I think that there's going to be a lot of teams that were in the playoffs this year that made it very far that will not make it there this next year. That much I will say.
That's fair.
I'm gonna say all four, possibly with the except maybe Oklahoma will still make it. Don't think they can repeat at all. But like the other three,
you better watch your mouth with that.
The other three
All right.
that were in the final four, essentially, no way. Was it? Yeah, no way.
Minnesota, no.
No, no Minnesota. No, they won't make it to the. They'll make it to the playoffs. They won't make it far. The Pacers, now that they've gotten rid of Miles Turner, probably and have lost Halliburton to an Achilles injury. No.
Okay.
Knicks, no. I don't see them getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. Who was in the Western? I just don't. I'm going to say that the Oklahoma has a chance of getting back to the Western Conference Finals, maybe, but yeah, it'll be a completely different playing field. That's what I think.
Okay, fair. Josh, any thoughts about teams you want to share?
3 things. I think the Mavericks make the playoffs this year or next year, whatever you want.
Cooper flag.
Yeah. I'm going to take them. Number 2, I think the Knicks will not make the playoffs, like I just mentioned. And there was something else I was going to say that, I feel very old because as I was watching the draft, I realized that Ron Harper's son was drafted. And I was like, wow, we used to watch, remember Bob? We used to watch Ron Harper all the time. So just felt old. That's it.
Okay. Bob.
Bandwagon fan. Don't even bring up his name.
Yeah, I was not a bandwagon fan.
Yes, you were.
Yeah,
so, Derek, let me point out. So, during the Bulls' second three-peat, the first 2 seasons, he was like, "Oh, the Bulls this, the Bulls that," and I was a big Bulls fan growing up, and a lot of that was because Jordan was my guy, and
sure.
And so we were always cheering the Bulls on, and then it came to the final year where when they three-peated the second time, and he's like, I'd really like somebody else to win it this year. I'm kind of tired of the Bulls winning it. And now he wants to pretend like he was a Bulls fan that whole time. Be quiet.
And then you didn't stay a Bulls fan after Jordan left.
No, I stayed a Bulls fan. They just even when Tim Floyd was their coach, I was still pulling for him. The problem is there was nothing to cheer for during that time.
Tim Floyd reference.
Hey, at least I knew that reference.
Yeah, Tim Floyd was a coach over there.
I know. I remember.
All right.
I mean, we didn't get hope again with the Bulls until Derrick Rose came around, and unfortunately,
look how that turned out.
Yeah, unfortunately, injuries derailed him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Tibbs his coach during that time?
That what?
Tibbs was his coach during that time, I think.
That's true.
So, just real quick, some things that I think I really would love Oklahoma City to get back there, and I hope Cleveland does, but healthy, because that was the matchup I really wanted this year, and I didn't get it. So I'd love to get that next year, because I think those 2 rosters would be great to watch in the finals, assuming that that they stay as they are and they make it all the way, make it unscathed to the finals. I want to see them both healthy. The team that I'm really curious to see what it's going to look like next year is Boston, simply because you're not going to have Tatum all year. Because based kind of like Indiana, based on when the injury happened to Tatum, you're talking about a completely different
he's
team.
out. Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he's going to be gone.
So many Achilles tears of stars.
Yeah, so what type of roster are they going to build around Jaylen Brown? Because it's pretty clear it looks like they're going to go with him as kind of being their lead guy, and I'm curious to see what that roster is going to look like. So that's a team I'm just curious to see.
There's also a rumor that Horford is going to go.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens. Obviously, whether Giannis decides to stay, or if somebody goes out and tries to get him, so those are just a couple of the teams that I'm a little interested to see.
All right, that's fair. That'll close it out here. G, to your point, Looney, thank you for your service. You did us well, and we were happy to have you. You were a good soldier. Having said that, I'm actually thinking that, I mean, we all know that, it's about the West, but I'm actually kind of interested to see what happens in the East. Just to be like, what are you guys up to? Like, what is Boston going to look like here?
I think the only teams that I'm semi interested in are the Knicks, and yeah, probably just to see what happens with Boston.
No, I'd like to see what happens with Cleveland too. I'm kind of with Bob on this. I think it was kind of. I think that was.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. I think something happened. It just they lost their mojo.
Well, they lost their mojo. They got injured. They just kept having injuries left and right, and then they like kept bringing in like these substitutes that weren't. It just wasn't, the vibes were not working once they weren't. Started dropping like flies and like having inconsistent appearances. At like one day Donovan Mitchell would play, then the next day he wouldn't, and it was very inconsistent. So that would have been an interesting one to see. I also had Cleveland going pretty far in my bracket, so I kind of forgot about it.
I think a lot of people did. So I don't think that was the true story that we saw there. It just didn't end well. I think next season will be different. And I think that also had to do with the fact that they are a young team. They finally get to the playoffs, and they're just kind of like, don't know what to do here.
That was the case with a lot of those teams this year.
I know. That's fair.
They were all. But, yeah.
Hey, I have a dark horse. What about the Heat? Anyone on?
What about them? They could stay in Miami.
Anyone? I was just looking at their roster.
A Jimmy-less Heat? I don't know.
No, move on. Move on with your life.
I didn't realize Kevin Love was on that team.
Yeah, he's been there for a while.
He's been there for a while.
Why do you need to realize?
He's a lot older now, and he doesn't even start for the team. And then when he does, he's only part of like the first. They use him in the rotation real early.
Yeah,
for like the first and the third quarter, and then he usually doesn't play again.
And it's really just to get some of the ladies there to the games, I think. Because he's a
chocolate love. All right.
And then obviously, just real quick, we're all curious to kind of see what happens with the Lakers, So.
Call me when LeBron has 6 championships.
That's your only argument?
It's the only argument I need, Sean.
You just wanted another reason
one more. You need one more to get out of that.
One more.
I think that's the most
one more.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for having me.
Well,
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye. You have a good night.
Bye.
That was good talk. That was fun.
He is
that was
so funny. That's the most NBA talk we've really had.
Well, I mean, we've had good NBA talk. I don't know if we've got an hour and 13 minutes.
All around, but like all over the place.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun.
It was very good. Very well done.
Fantastic stuff, guys.
Call me when LeBron has 6 championships.
I think that's the most you played something in life.
I played that clip to Kate, and she thinks it's so funny that like a teacher would talk to a student like that. Of course, it's the PE teacher, which makes it even funnier.
That teacher's a good movie.
I love the way that clip starts, though. When you actually watch the full clip, he's like, "You're out of your mind."
And then he tries to walk away, and then he turns around and goes, "Call me when LeBron has 6 championships."
Exactly. He's got some great movies too, by the way. Yes Man, Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, he's good. Jason Segel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
One of the best clips we've had on the show. So thank you, Bob, and thank you for utilizing it heavily. All right, let's move on.
When we had Jeremy and Gazelle on last time, when we hit it with Jeremy, it was perfect timing.
It was.
Oh, it was great. He was not pleased about that, and that's what made it.
It made it hilarious because I did not know where I was going to use that clip, and he set it up perfectly. He's like, I didn't know Michael Jordan was in the and as soon as he said that, call me when
the button got pressed immediately.
It was so good.
All right. Gentlemen, what do you say? Move on to that. I mean, that was some great basketball talk, but I'd say it's time to move on to the next one. What say you?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, Josh, get your soapbox out because we know what you're going to take about the whole segment with this. So, all right, the Batman Part 2. There's a script that is floating around. Forgive me, Bob, I didn't even get my notes together with this, but apparently the director for the Batman 2, Matt Reeves, has completed that script. I don't know if he and James Gunn have shared this together with one another at this juncture, but he has completed it. So that's the good news. So Josh, 2030, here we go. Who's excited?
Real quick, so just I pulled up this article from Deadline where it talks about that the script was complete. It shows that they shared a blurred black and white photo of the script. I actually saw that photo, and you kind of mentioned about James Gunn. A little bit lower in the article, James Gunn is talking about that. He says we were supposed to get the script in June. He says we feel really good about it. Matt's excited. He says I talk to Matt all the time. I think this is actually the key part though right here. He says Josh should get off Matt's nuts because it's like let the guy write the screenplay in the amount of time he needs to write it.
Very funny.
That's just the way that it is. He doesn't owe you something because you like his movie. I mean, you like his movie because of Matt. So let Matt do things the way he does, Josh. And that's verbatim in there. Well, maybe not verbatim. That was the part.
No,
that
it is
James
verbatim.
Gunn, it was redacted. I had to put that.
By the way, Derek, to answer your question, I saw an interview with James Gunn, who was given the script and was going to read it on the plane to England for the Superman premiere.
He's not reading that on
that's
the way
what he said.
to the Superman premiere. He's not doing that.
I mean, he said he was
Biting his nails about what's going to happen at the Superman.
But he also said in that same interview that he might fall asleep during that time because he is traveling all over the world right now promoting Superman.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, he got in a little bit of trouble because of a remark he made recently.
What did he say? Really?
Well, no.
Yeah, he was.
What did he do now?
He was saying that he was talking about, I guess, about like interacting with people on social media and kind of getting into it with them. And he was saying that he finally realized, he doesn't really need to be getting all upset at this and interacting because he might just be talking with some 12-year-old in India. And he said that, and you got all these people out there saying, oh, he's a racist.
Oh my God.
And so now they're on him about that one. But he tried to backpedal on it, and he was like, I really like the
Oh,
or at least that was the clip that came out. I'm wondering if that was AI, but because I was like, boy, that was pretty heavy. Him trying to backtrack on that. but yeah, so that clip was running around social media. But either way, yeah, the script is done.
All right, so that's ready. All right, so I need to step away for like just a minute or so. Josh, I'm going to give you the floor.
Okay.
You go, because I know you have thoughts. By the time I get back, Bob will give me the recap, which basically means what you said was garbage, and then we can move on with our lives. Okay? How about that?
No.
Yes.
All right, Josh, just tell us what you think about.
Yeah,
I'm glad that the script is finally done. Yes, have I been frustrated about it? Yeah, I have been. We'll see where it goes. Again, I don't think this Batman is in the DCU, right?
No. This is completely separate from what James Gunn is doing.
I keep hearing rumors. They're saying that Giancarlo Esposito, did I get the name right?
Giancarlo Esposito, yeah.
Might be playing Mr. Freeze. That's been the big rumor going around, and that he's the main villain, but then also, we'll have Penguin in there. I don't know. We'll see what story they goes. Look, I loved the Batman. I know you liked it, Bob. I thought they did a very good job with it. We all love the Penguin. And look, my frustration just stems from I want to see, it's been so long. I really liked Pattinson, but I want to see them flush out his character. And I know you and I have talked about how we would like to see a more standard Bruce Wayne with him in this one. That we got a very different Bruce Wayne in the Batman. And that for the Batman Part 2, we would love to see him go back to kind of his origins of being, Bruce Wayne, being that millionaire. And so I think it's more excitement. I want to see it. That's me. And so, like you said, though, I'll agree with you on this, Bob. You have said if they're taking a long time, make it a good script. As long as it's a good, if you're taking this much time, make sure it's a good script. And yeah, so we'll see what happens.
All right. I came in at the end there.
That
when
was
you said-
surprisingly painless.
Thank you.
I came in at the end there when I heard that Josh just said that we wanted to get.
Yeah, he
back
tried to give the politically correct answer here.
Oh, okay, very good.
When deep down he's thinking to himself, "It's about
Yeah, you were covering up your foaming of the mouth very
No,
well.
I was not. I didn't know. I've heard so many rumors about this that maybe they're not doing it at all. They are doing it, but the fact that they had the script and you saw Matt Reeves there with the writer. What's the writer's name that helped him with?
I saw it in the article.
And so, yeah, we'll see what goes. And like Bob said, was it? I don't know if it was last week when you said this, Bob, but you said, "My God, if Superman by chance is not good, they're going to have to really push the Batman Part 2 hard," right?
Look, this is just my own personal opinion. I think they've been kind of holding off on a lot of the Batman news and kind of holding off on the script and stuff because James Gunn is doing his universe. I don't think they're wanting to do anything to really to clash with that. I think they're trying to hold it back a little bit. I think Matt Reeves and everybody, I think when they first announced when it was coming out, I think they announced it a little bit quicker than what they were really thinking that it was going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe to capitalize off of the Penguin's success. They're like, oh, okay, well, the next movie's going to come out here. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, no, this is probably more realistic. I also think that they're waiting to see what happens with Superman. If Superman bombs, then it's full steam ahead on the Batman universe. From here on out with spinoffs and everything.
Yeah.
If it's not or if Superman is a big hit and people actually like it, and that I got to point that out, a difference between being a big hit and people actually liking it, because something can be a big hit and people not like it. Captain Marvel was an example of that. But if this is a big hit, then I think the Batman they're not going to go full steam ahead with a full universe. I think they'll probably do maybe a second season of the Penguin because I think there's a demand for it. And then I think they'll close it out with one more film. And then that'll be kind of like a little self-contained universe. But I don't see it becoming this grand thing. Now, if Superman bombs, don't be surprised to see not just a Penguin season 2, but see another spinoff or two that happen within the Batman universe.
Did you see where James Gunn mentioned? Sorry, Derek, just real quick. That James Gunn mentioned, I don't know what to do with Batman. Like,
yeah, well, he's still figuring it out, but I think a lot of that has to do with just the fact that he's focused on Superman.
Yeah.
I think once Superman, exactly. But even then, he's already talking about a Superman sequel. Like, he's not even like, people have asked him about the Brave and the Bold. And I think, according to him, he's like, yes, we're going to get that out, but you might see Batman in something a little before that. But
keep in mind that the shared universe that they're building with the DC universe, it's not going to be like Marvel, where you had all these movies that lead to one big ending event, and then you get all these other movies that lead to another big ending event. And that's not the way James Gunn is wanting to do it.
No,
there's going to be a lot of shared stuff, but you don't necessarily have to see this to see that. I don't.
And you got to remember, go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
I was going to say that I think he mentioned that they are going to have like a big bad, but it's not going to be like Avengers style. So it's just a little different the way they're building this.
You also got to remember, James Gunn is opening a lot of cans with just one movie here. So when Bob's talking about that shared stuff, that's a lot of tentacles. that are going to be trying to get shot off in one movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So and that gets back to my point about being nervous about this. They're trying to get a lot done in one movie.
Yep.
So, now again, I'm nervous, but I'm optimistic. Okay, I don't think it. I don't have a bad feeling about the fact that, this movie's coming out next week. Dear Lord, but I am cautious about it. I'm not going to lie.
Yep.
Now, but this is the beauty of Batman too. Josh? I've told you this. What's the ace of spades that DC always has against Marvel?
Batman?
That's it. Yep. They can throw that card every time on the table, and it gets them a royal flush. It just does. They can throw out all the Avengers movies that they want. The minute the next Batman comes out, nope, we can compete, and they always have a good shot at doing it. So
Right.
that's why with the exception of Batman and Robin, that was not good. But
that killed
okay, that was one out of Lord knows how many. Okay, so even the best hitter in baseball can strike out. So
I mean, that killed the franchise for what, 8 years?
long time.
What's sad about Batman and Robin is that they meant to make it that way. It's not like it was a bad.
No,
It was not like it was meant to be something else and it turned out bad. No, they meant to make it that way.
We want this to be
meant to make it extremely campy.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it was kind of I think I remember seeing something that he did a lot of it, like how is it that he said it? It was almost like a slap back at DC. He meant to make it this way.
I heard our boy John Glover, who was the doctor on the, in Batman and Robin with Pamela Isley, said that between takes, Schumacher was saying, now remember, we are making a kids movie.
All right. Well, then that's what we got.
It was. I don't even know if it was a kid.
I was about to say that was kids.
Oh, it was.
So all right, let me get back to the point about
Go ahead.
The next script we have here. Okay, it's done. Good. I do have some pretty good faith and confidence with Matt Reeves because he did a good job. He did a good job on the first one. So if the script is right here, which I'm feeling like it will be, then good. At least it's finalized. And if we got to wait a little while, perfect, because you want a great script. So to your point, Josh, that's not bad. If he really took the time to make this right, then you can't blame him for that.
Correct.
I will always say, make sure you take time to get it right. And if you do, great. And in addition to that, to Bob's point, if we're going to get a Penguin season 2 out of this, you're not going to hear me complain. In addition to the fact, think about this one. What about an Arkham spinoff?
I would love that.
Fun.
I've been begging for that for years. I've been wanting to see something with Arkham.
Yep. And what if it's like all these Batman villains that are in there already?
Yes.
And you just get like mini episodes like that. It's like one. It's not like a continued story. It's just one episode per show.
Yeah.
There could be a really fun series of tales there. It's like a bunch of short shows, like one big, short stories, one big chapter book. That would be great for Arkham. I would love that.
Let me ask you guys this. What do you think the story is for Batman Part 2?
Don't know.
Any villains? You want to mention any villains?
Well, the Penguin's going to be in there somehow, I'm sure.
Oh,
Yeah, the Penguin. We already know. We already know. Most likely, Penguin's going to be in it. We know that. What's her name? Catwoman's probably going to be back in it.
Yeah, she'll be in it. Mm-hmm.
And so the two of them for sure are going to make an appearance. Don't be surprised if we see Sophia go up.
Yep.
But I think they will all be like supporting villains towards the big bad. Because I think they'll develop the relationship more between Selina and Bruce.
Yeah.
As well as we'll see some where the Penguin's at now as kind of the crime king or crime boss of Gotham and kind of where he's at. So I don't think he'll get a ton of screen time. I think he'll get kind of like what he had in the first film.
I don't think it's Joker.
I was gonna go
so.
there next. I really hope they stay away from that.
I think it's somebody we haven't seen.
We need time away from the Joker. That's enough with the Joker. Okay,
I think we saw him a little bit, in the first one, in that deleted scene. But I don't know. Maybe it is Mr. Freeze. If they can get it right.
We've already given them the way to do that. Mark Strong, Mr. Freeze, in the Freeze section of the butcher shop.
You know what you could do?
Yeah.
Here's what you could do with Joker, because we know he's in that world. We've already seen him there.
Mm-hmm.
This goes to your spin-off show, Derek, of Arkham.
The one episode with the Joker.
We could do one episode with the Joker. You have Pattinson as a guest star, and you show the story about how Batman caught him.
Yeah.
That is actually a fantastic idea. That should be the season finale.
Yeah. And make that like an extra long episode, like an hour and a half.
Make it an hour. Yeah, make it like a short feature film.
Yeah, like a good hour and a half, and let's have some fun with that.
Like, what about because you don't want to give everything away, but like, what about Poison Ivy is like this like this protester, like for eco rights, something like that, and ends up icing somebody innocently, but then as it turns out, she's really a bad person, and the way she gets all the plant power is because she's been like injecting herself with God knows what, because she believes in herbal remedies and starts trying things. So now she's in Arkham in the women's section. That would make it interesting, right? And in the women's ward, think about how that would go down.
Could be
a bunch of thorn plants like wrapped around her prison bars. Come on.
I think for Matt Reeves, what about Hugo Strange, by the way?
What about Hugo Strange?
I mean, making him a main villain.
Don't nobody know about Hugo Strange.
I don't know. Bob's always mentioned him.
Well, I already told you should play Hugo Strange.
Who was it again?
Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they have a lot of options.
Okay, if you're going to do that, have him in my show for Arkham. Introduce him that way.
Yeah.
Episode 1. Go ahead. I don't mind.
Yeah.
You could do it with Harvey Dent, but that actually it'd be more interesting if Harvey Dent was the one that was putting everybody away.
That would be, yeah.
Arkham would be. I would love a show like that. Let's get back to the topic at hand, though. I'm glad the script is done. Either way, Batman will continue to roll. We all know that. It's just a matter of, but Bob's right. It's just a matter of what does happen with Superman. I mean, we just don't know yet.
We'll know next week.
Yeah, we will.
We'll have a good idea. Because here's the thing. I don't even think the opening numbers are going to be the kicker. Because I do think it's going to do well, but they are revising them down, the projections, because they're not seeing the pre-sales that they thought they were going to. So the revised projections are down. Now, the key is going to be with this film, word of mouth. If this is a movie that is divisive, because I already mentioned to Josh yesterday, Snyder fans are already going to hate it.
Yeah, it's true.
The James Gunn haters are already going to hate it.
Yeah.
And the James Gunn lovers are already going to love it. So it's going to be the big majority, that group in the middle, that it's going to be what they say. And if they're reacting very positively to the movie, then I think this could make $1 billion. If they don't, because of the revised projections, I'm not saying this is going to flop, but I think anything less than 800 million for this movie is an extreme disappointment.
Yeah, 850.
I'd say,
yeah.
And deep down, you know the studio wants $1 billion. If they,
of course.
No, they want over $1 billion. I think they want over $1 billion.
Of course, they want over $1 billion. But
it would be great if they get over $1 billion. But
I'm saying that's, I think, their threshold.
Yeah, they're looking for the B. If they get over a B, that's icing on a cake.
So,
but I mean, okay, again, I am not in a negative space with this. I am not, but I'm nervous. And I didn't know about the projections like Baba just mentioned.
Yeah, they revised them down like 30 million or something like that. Mm-hmm. I forget what the new number is, but it was revised down a little bit. Now, it could still blow past that because you might have a lot of people that go on that weekend just like who didn't pre-sell or buy the pre-sales that are now just like, okay, let's go.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that, that that does give cause for pause, but at the same time, it doesn't give me as much worry because it's like, look, maybe you just didn't buy tickets. You have 4th of July coming up here too. Maybe people's minds weren't there. After this weekend, they could easily kick into it. That's entirely possible. So this may mean nothing on that level. You're right, Bob.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm kind of like you. I'm glad that the script for this is in. I do think they're kind of holding back on giving a lot away until they see what happens with Superman. And then that'll give them a clearer idea of what direction the Batman universe is going to go, if it's going to be their primary thing that they're going to focus on, or if it's going to just be a secondary thing.
Yeah.
James Gunn ain't going to have anything to do with that. Say that right now. If Superman flops,
Oh
yeah, he's not going to.
I didn't even want to.
Yeah. So
it would get the pitchforks. If
Are you crying? Flops, are you crying, Josh?
No, I'm just thinking. Oh my God!
You kind of are.
I will. I told. I said this to Josh. I don't even care if it's a flop. I care more about the quality of this. If this sucks, I am going to be so mad.
Yeah, people are going to be real upset. Yeah.
That's why I said get the pitchforks.
Well, I don't know. I mean, okay, look, we got to remember there were 3 trailers that came out. 2 of them were still very good.
Yeah.
So, let's try to give what's the quote that Bob said? Every project has its own merit. So let's just we're going to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
We're going to keep an open mind. But this is it. This is end zone now. Trying to get to it. So here we are.
And we don't know.
God knows how long for this.
And we don't know for sure exactly if some of these segments that, you guys have talked about that you don't like, if they're in the movie or not. Remember Marvel?
No, they're in the movie. These are clips that were released from the movie. They're using this for the marketing. These are individual clips, but instead of releasing like a minute-long clip or a minute and a half long clip, they're releasing like 20-second clips at a time. And by doing that, we're getting these clips that are out of context. And there are things in those clips that have me worried more so. And I started feeling this with that last trailer. And I mentioned that there were some things there that I didn't like.
Right.
And I'm seeing more of that in these clips. And so that makes me go, yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong because I want to love this. I really do.
I know. I think that's where we all
Superman
are.
Movie.
Yeah.
And if I don't get it, I am going to be pissed.
Yeah. We all really want this to work out. So
especially because for 2 reasons, the 2 biggest reasons. One is that they got rid of Henry Cavill for this. Regardless of what you think about the Snyder films, Henry Cavill was well liked for the role of Superman, and he was going to be Superman in kind of a soft reboot of that universe. They were already going to kind of move away from what Snyder was doing and move with a very positive Superman in Henry Cavill that people wanted to see. So that's number 1. Number 2, they canceled Superman and Lois because they did not want it to conflict with James Gunn's Superman. So those are two good Supermen that they got rid of for this. So this is something that I want it to be good because, like I said, and we've talked about this before, every project has its own merit. So I got no problems that, this actor replaces that one or any of that. I understand you're going to reboot it. You're going to reboot it. But this better be good because you got rid of two fan favorites for this.
Yep.
And there's another aspect to this too. There's Superman fatigue, or not Superman fatigue, superhero fatigue. And
apathy is set in with a lot of people on this stuff. Look at Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was well liked, and people didn't go out and see it, even with the word of mouth.
That's what I'm saying. So that plays into this too. And if you already got a split crowd like Bob's talking about, now it's becoming much more apparent that there's potentials here for problems. So, now again, I think we all want this to do well. So we're, here we go. No turning back now. But, we've seen enough of what we do like to hopefully keep us positive about it. And hopefully the rest of the world will see it the same way.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
Josh, are you biting your nails?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm just listening to you guys. I'm thinking about a scene that
now he's itching. He's itching. He's nervous.
No, I'm not nervous. I was thinking about a scene where I saw today where he's holding up that dinosaur or that monster, and there's a dog that's going to get crushed, and he uses did you guys see this?
I saw that one.
Yeah. So we'll see.
See, actually, that scene I was fine with.
You were.
That one I was fine with.
There's a lot from what we've seen to like about this. I mean, it's not like
I was fine with it too, but I was just curious if you guys.
But we've done this. I mean, we've been talking about this movie since last year.
I know.
So we'll see. Here we were supposed to be talking about the Batman script, and now we're talking about Superman. I
think they go hand in hand because
they do.
Again,
they do.
I mean, that's the problem. They've got two universes going on at the same time here.
Yep.
And
it wouldn't be a big deal if Superman was meant to be a standalone thing, but it's not. It's meant to be the beginning of a shared universe and they've already got a standalone Batman going on. That's the problem. So, the standalone Batman was well liked and had an extremely good spin-off show.
It did. So we'll see how it all adds up.
And the fact that everyone loved Henry Cavill for Superman.
Well, yeah, like I said, you lost Henry Cavill and Tyler Hoechlin. You lost two Supermen that people really liked.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying this has to be good, because if it doesn't, the leash is very short.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
The leash is very short because of what happened with DC towards the end of the Snyderverse, and then you got rid of two Supermen that people really liked.
Yeah,
the expectations are very high that they have to deliver now.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, lots more fun to be had there. Josh looks like he's about ready to rip his hair out.
No, it's standing up.
Yeah.
Here, sorry. There.
Do you need some rouge too while you're at it?
It's what happens when you have a full head of hair.
Put some glitter on because the guys like that. All right. Anyway.
Josh, I wouldn't brag because, your guest this weekend told me how your wife likes bald men, so I wouldn't turn around and be too happy about it.
No. On the contrary, she said if your hair is thinning, she would much rather have a bald head. Okay?
You're welcome.
Say, shave your head. She loves my hair.
Because she doesn't think you're going to look good bald.
Yeah.
I don't need to be bald.
Yeah,
eventually.
It adds about an inch to your height. At least you can hold your head on that.
Okay,
right.
we don't talk about that because I'm very sensitive about that. Just kidding.
right.
Your sensitivity hasn't meant anything to me since 1999. Let's move on.
All right.
All right. Let's move on to our last topic. Bob, if you would. Folks, they're remaking it. I never thought I'd see this, actually. The fact that we are remaking The Running Man. It is coming out, I believe, November 2nd, Bob. Keep me honest there, the remake is?
I don't remember the date, but...
It is early November, though, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. So here we go. From the 1987 film, here we are with the remake. So this is the trailer, folks. Bob, kick us off.
All right, you see it?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Ben Richards, 35, married, one child, in medical crisis.
We need money for a doctor now.
Ben, watch us up.
Employment status, blacklisted. But there's still a way out for you. It's the biggest show in the country.
Bloodlust is our birthright. Set it free. Welcome to The Running Man.
People on these games never come back.
I'm not trying to get myself killed, so kiss my ass twice.
Right there is why you can win this game. The rules are simple. Survive 30 days with the entire nation hunting you down. And get your family out of Slumside for good.
I'm gonna come back here and burn this building down. I promise.
That's the spirit.
This is America, goddammit! And we don't put up with no bullshit! Yes! Hunt him down! Stop filming me!
Have you ever wondered if this game is rigged?
Guess we'll find out.
You might be moving up too fast.
Hey, buddy. You're on Freebie.
You better run! I got a grenade!
Back at you.
I'm still here, you shit eaters. Hey, big boys!
Are you crazy?
Come on.
That was good. That was awesome.
All right, Josh, we're going to let you go first because I saw this, and I think, Bob, you saw it too before we got on here. So you go first.
I thought that's the first time I saw the trailer. I thought it's very well done. It looks, it's just what a guy movie, It's just like you want to sit there with a bag of popcorn and a drink and let them take you away for a couple of hours, It's got that like 80s feel to it too, which is cool, which I like about it. Yeah, I definitely think they what's his name from Maverick? I never remember his name.
Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell, that's right. Really like that he's in it and the star of the movie. And Brolin is in there, right?
Yeah,
Josh Brolin.
That's a great casting choice. Looks really, really cool. I had no idea that they were remaking it until
we talked about it.
Huh?
We talked about it.
When did we talk about it?
We talked about it when we mentioned what the holiday movies were that were coming up.
Oh, really?
There's,
Okay. Let's see the
cast.
cast. So I mentioned William H. Macy.
That's great.
Hayes. That's so funny. That's so random.
Michael
Um,
Cera.
Michael Cera.
Sean Hayes.
I know Sean Hayes throws me off. Like, really?
Hey, check it out. El Batista is in this. David Zayas.
That's a stalker. That's a stalker.
It's funny.
Yep.
Oh,
Angel from Dexter is in this. Angel.
Yeah. Batista. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry.
I thought you were. It's funny. Okay.
Yeah. No, not the wrestler.
Yeah.
No. I
I
thought
was
you were
like,
saying that. I was just like, no, I didn't see him, but he. Forgive me for missing the best.
Michael Cera and Josh Brolin. Yeah, great casting.
And also, what was interesting about this too is that, Josh, if you remember the first Running Man film, which you don't, the host was actually the owner of the show.
Okay.
So now it looks like they split that off. So there's now a new host, but Josh Brolin is running the show.
Who was the host in '87 with Arnold?
It was Richard Dawson from Family Feud.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, God, that's so random.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't random. That was
great.
That was great casting because he was well known for being a game show host.
Correct.
So who better to play a game show host than get an actual game show host?
Get a game show host. You like what you saw, Josh?
I did. I like it.
Bob, take it away.
Okay, I've never read the book, but my understanding is that this is closer to the book than the original film was, and there are definitely some differences here. One of the differences that I saw was it's not like they're in a separated world or arena, and they send these what were they called? Stalkers? Is that what they were called? Or chasers or whatever they call them.
Yep, stalkers.
Stalkers. Yeah, to go in and kill them. You don't actually see that. Instead, it's happening in the real world, and he makes the reference that the whole country's out to get you. So I think that's kind of cool that the average man can turn around and try to stop him as well. So I think that's going to add an interesting dynamic to this storyline. And I like Glenn Powell. I think he's an up and coming star. I've liked a lot of the movies that he's been in, and I'm curious to see what his take on this character is going to be. I think this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see this one. Sign me up.
I am going to reach the consensus here with the gentleman. This looks fantastic. This looks like a lot of fun.
Yep.
Are you guys familiar with the Edgar Wright movies?
Yeah, he's done a lot of good stuff. Let me pull up.
He's done great stuff. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Baby Driver, which I highly recommend if you guys haven't seen that. Incredible. I don't know if he directed Ant-Man, but he was part of that somehow, and that was actually fun for a Marvel movie. It wasn't like the best Marvel movie in the world.
He was the writer for Ant-Man.
He was what?
He was a writer for Ant-Man.
It actually turned out to be a pretty fun movie. The first one did. Maybe it was because
I think he was supposed to direct it. I think initially he was supposed to direct it, and then something happened and he couldn't direct it.
I've seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World, also a fun movie.
I'm looking
fun if you're, low expectations, and if you got those, you have a lot of fun. He was involved with Planet Terror. Remember that one?
No, I didn't say. Look at Sing. He did.
My point being is the fact that he's done good stuff, really good stuff. So I think we're going to be in really good hands here for this one. It does look, and maybe this is the 80s kid in me because I love this so much, but it does look like the stalkers aren't going to be a part of this. Maybe they are. But to Bob's point, maybe it's more like simulations where, okay, you got through level 1, and maybe level 1 was an obstacle to get away from a bunch of people trying to kill him. and the obstacles get harder as you go along. Like level 4 is like a plane thing that he has to somehow find a way out of. So it's not about stalkers and like bad guys themselves, rather than situations to try to get out of things. That could be a lot of fun.
And maybe the stalkers just are going to look different in this and have different. Maybe they're not going to be coming around shooting electricity and throwing buzzsaws.
I know, and I mean, it's not. It's probably better it doesn't have that level of 80s cheese, but but that's what we all remember from the first one too. So I got to get my head wrapped around that, and I'm sure I will by the time I see this, because this looks great. This looks fantastic.
It's really good. November 7th.
November 7th. So
we're there.
Yeah, I'm game. Can't bring the kids to that one.
What we should do is we should watch the original and review it the week before we go see the actual or the new one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So
that's
then
the way we should do it. Let's
talk about that. So hold on. Let me check the schedules here. Mark this on your calendars, gents. So the Running Man comes out November 7th. By November 5th, that's the Wednesday, we're going to make sure that we have watched that. And that's going to be on the agenda, November 5th. Josh, that's plenty of time.
I want to watch it now. I'm curious about it.
And don't forget, though, you better figure out your time, because you got to watch Stranger Things 4, which comes out in November too. So
there's a ton of stuff coming out in November.
You got to watch 4 before the 5th season comes out.
Frankenstein comes out in November. Dear Lord, there's a lot of stuff that's coming out in November.
Insane.
There's a lot of.
There's going to be some good stuff.
Yeah, awesome stuff. All right. Well, shall we call it a night?
We should call it a night.
All right. Well, in the name of the United States of America, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for the good Samaritans that you are. I mean, you kind of, Josh, but that's fine.
You're a jerk. I've been on my best behavior tonight.
So have we. All right. You got tonight off.
When are you going to realize your behavior has nothing to do with it? It's that you walk into certain ones.
Yeah, that's true.
Behavior has never had anything to do with it.
Josh, we gave you a very easy night. Okay, you should be thanking us, as a matter of fact.
Look at him.
You bunch of losers!
It's so good. I really thought, to be honest, that Bob was going to use that at the beginning with the Lakers.
Well, I mean, apparently I went on enough of a rant where Bob didn't need to worry about that.
Call me when LeBron has 6 championships.
Is that your only argument?
It's the only argument I need, Sean!
It's good. I don't know. Oh my God. Can that only be used when we cover NBA? Because it is so good.
I'm going to hold on to that one.
We know now he has to hold on to that one for basketball stuff. Are you kidding me?
Look, LeBron will be retired. LeBron will be retired, and I'm going to pull that one out. Call me when LeBron has 6 championships.
Oh God!
The way they fight before that too is all like, oh God, that whole thing is great.
That's so good.
Yeah. All right. Social media, gents. Let's wrap this up for the evening. Josh, go ahead.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok.
All right, very good. Bob, if you would.
Find me on my channel at Bob Loves Movies. I was thinking I might have a review of Jurassic World Rebirth out, but I'm thinking I'm going to hold off on that for the holiday, and we'll talk about it on this show next week. You can catch me over there, and then you can find me on X and on Criticless.
All right. Well, speaking of dinosaurs, there's no time to talk about dinosaurs about now, because that's exactly what I feel like being as old as I am, which is why I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. All right. What do we say we call it a night, guys?
Happy 4th, everyone. Happy 4th.
Y'all have a good night.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.